Hey guys, today I'm taking a look at Star Wars TIE Fighter. Man, this game takes me way back. I remember, I had the joystick and everything, and my dad had to set it up for me and figure out exactly how all of this stuff worked. And man, it was just really difficult to wrap my head around it. And this was, the early days of, line graphics and all that stuff, and it was very abstract but very cool to mess around and play with it. And so again, I like these games where you kind of just play as the Empire, and because you're playing as the TIE Fighter, you're super vulnerable, you're super destructible, and so you have to be very careful with how you play the game. Again, I really like how you control your velocity and speed. Everything here feels, even though it's incredibly abstract, I really prefer it to some like modern, space flying games, because it is so interesting to look at and to maneuver, and everything works more or less how it should. It just doesn't look how it should. I remember as a kid, I really struggled a lot with this game, vis-a-vis, what the objective was. I just tried to shoot stuff. And, as you get older, you figure out, oh, this is what you're supposed to do. It's also really cool how you'll engage with others in dogfights and stuff. And again, it just looks really cool how everything lights up and, reflects essentially. And, you just really go really deep into the whole aesthetic of the different, Imperial fighters and how everything looks. And it's almost like a sim rather than a game, which I really appreciate. I think it's really cool. I know of those old school LucasArts games, all the sound effects sound right. The music is great. I mean, the Star Wars music is really kind of cheating, honestly. And I remember the whole tutorial level of just flying the TIE Fighter was such an intense thing that made it feel like this real simulation that you're actually in the cockpit of one of these things. And it's super important that you realize you know what you're doing, essentially. My favorite one is probably the TIE Fighter, the one that has the 3 wings, which I think appears briefly in Return of the Jedi. I always thought that was such a really cool design, and just this idea that I don't know, my child brain saw, oh, this is an evolution of an existing fighter, and that was maybe the first time I saw that, and I kind of had this revelation moment, like, oh, this is what it looks like when a gun is iterated on, or a machine has different versions of itself. I just thought it was really cool, honestly. And this is just a very cool aesthetic game. It feels like a simulator for a fictional starfighter. It's just really cool, and just all the buttons and the technology going on is really neat. But yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to say about it. It's not a terribly complicated game. Once you figure out what you're supposed to be doing, as a kid, it's almost impossible to play this, at least for me. And but yeah, it was a really fun experience overall, though. So yeah.